Welcome back to the channel, everyone. And if you're new here, then please hit that subscribe button because today we're going to talk about something that will send chills down your spine. We're diving deep into one of the most mysterious and terrifying stories from the Indian Railways. A story that has been whispered about for decades. A story that railway workers refuse to talk about after sunset. And a story that has left countless people traumatized. Yes, my friends, today we're exploring the legend of the Bhutia Train, the haunted train that is said to roam the tracks of India even to this day. Before we begin, let me tell you that this video is based on real accounts, real testimonies from railway workers, passengers, and local residents who have experienced something unexplainable. So if you're watching this alone at night, maybe turn on some lights because what you're about to hear is absolutely bone-chilling. And don't forget to hit that like button and drop a comment telling me if you believe in paranormal activities or not. The story of the Bhutia Train dates back to the pre-independence era, somewhere around the 1930s and 40s. During this time, the British colonial government was expanding the railway network across India at a rapid pace. Trains were the lifeline of the country, connecting distant cities, transporting goods, and moving people across vast distances. But with this expansion came numerous accidents, some minor and some absolutely catastrophic that claimed hundreds of lives. One such incident occurred on a foggy winter night in northern India. The exact location varies depending on who tells the story, with some saying it happened near Kanpur, others claiming it was near Lucknow, and some even mentioning the Delhi-Agra route. But regardless of the location, the core story remains hauntingly similar. A passenger train was traveling through the night, packed with travelers returning home after a long journey. Families with children, elderly couples, young students, working professionals, everyone was on board, tired, and eager to reach their destinations. The train was running slightly behind schedule, and the driver was under pressure to make up for lost time. The night was particularly dark with thick fog, reducing visibility to almost zero. Despite the dangerous conditions, the train continued to speed through the countryside. The passengers inside were mostly asleep, rocked by the rhythmic movement of the train on the tracks. Some were reading by dim lamplight, others were sharing quiet conversations, and children were curled up in their parents' arms. Then suddenly, without any warning, disaster struck. According to some accounts, there was a massive derailment caused by a track failure. Others say the train collided with another locomotive that was stopped on the same track due to a signaling error. Some versions of the story mention that the driver saw something on the tracks, something inexplicable, something that made him slam the brakes so hard that the entire train went off the rails. Whatever the cause, the result was absolutely horrific. The impact was so severe that several coaches were completely destroyed. The sound of metal crushing, glass shattering, and people screaming filled the air. The derailment happened in a remote area, far from any town or village, which meant help couldn't arrive quickly. By the time rescue teams reached the site, it was too late for most passengers. The death toll was staggering, with estimates ranging from 150 to over 300 people. Bodies were scattered across the wreckage, some trapped inside the twisted metal of the coaches, others thrown far from the tracks by the force of the impact. The rescue operation continued for days as workers tried to recover bodies and clear the debris. It was a scene of unimaginable horror, with the smell of death hanging heavy in the air. Local villagers who came to help reported feeling an overwhelming sense of dread and sadness at the sight. Many of them claimed they could hear voices calling out for help, even when no survivors remained. Some said they saw shadows moving among the wreckage when no one was there. After the accident site was cleared and the bodies were cremated or buried, railway officials tried to restore normal operations on that stretch of track. But this is where the story takes a truly paranormal turn. Within weeks of the accident, strange reports started coming in from railway workers and train drivers who passed through that area. They claimed to see a phantom train running on the parallel tracks, a train that appeared suddenly out of nowhere and then vanished just as quickly. The descriptions of this ghost train were remarkably consistent across different witnesses. People described seeing an old steam locomotive pulling several passenger coaches, all of them appearing dim and ghostly, as if viewed through a thick fog, even on clear nights. The train would appear suddenly, often when a real train was passing through the area, running parallel to it for a few moments before disappearing completely. No sound accompanied this apparition, no whistle, no rumbling of wheels on tracks, just an eerie silence that made the experience even more terrifying. Train drivers reported the most chilling encounters. Many of them claimed that while passing through that particular section of track, they would suddenly see another train approaching them head-on, causing them to panic and apply emergency brakes. But just before collision, the ghost train would vanish into thin air, leaving the drivers shaken and confused. Some drivers became so traumatized by these experiences that they refused to operate trains through that route, especially during night shifts. Passengers also reported strange experiences while traveling through that area. People claimed to see faces pressed against the windows of their coaches, faces of people who weren't actually there. Some reported hearing crying, screaming, and moaning sounds coming from empty compartments. Others described feeling sudden drops in temperature, experiencing an overwhelming sense of sadness and fear, or smelling burning metal and smoke when there was no fire anywhere nearby. One of the most detailed accounts comes from a railway guard who was working the night shift in the early 1960s. He was traveling in the guard's coach at the rear of a passenger train when they entered the section where the accident had occurred. As was his duty, he was looking out to ensure everything was normal when he suddenly saw a